And good morning, Hoosier Nation. Welcome to another victorious edition of Hoosier Morning After. This is Hoosier Morning After Winthrop. Yesterday afternoon, early evening, your Indiana Hoosiers go on to defeat Winthrop 77-68, going 10-3 on the season, just still sitting at 1-1 on conference. Finishing up the non-conference portion of this season's schedule. Started the game, honestly, for myself, going into this, feeling more connected, talking on defense. Kind of with this team have started to look to see what they're going to do on defense and how they're going to show up to start the game, to kind of feel out what is going to happen in the game. And I started out feeling pretty good in this game. Felt pretty connected on D. They were switching, talking well. Did not continue that and stay consistent with that, as we'll kind of get into as we get farther. But IU led the whole game. Many opportunities to put this game away and kind of pull away from this team, but never really did the way they should have. The main story, obviously, in this game was Ballo sitting on the bench and Langdon Hatton, his number being called off the bench. Very much needed point of hustle for this team in this game. And we'll get in a little bit deeper about Landon and discuss him later on during the show. But it was really kind of IU's game for a majority of it, albeit a few moments where Winthrop stuck with it, kept close. IU was never really able to pull away fully like they should have in this game. At the end of the game, at the about 4-minute mark, IU was up by 9, and it felt like they might finally pull away, put this game in and finish it off. But Winthrop would go on an 8-0 run to bring it within 1 at 69-68. IU luckily did calm down and put it back into their hands with a 9-point win on an 8-0 run of their own in the last 3 minutes of the game. But just a very tighter game than it should have been. Thank you for being here with me. I'm your host, Chad Schwartzkopf. Martha, caught up in Bloomington in a hotel with not the greatest internet, getting ready to take off and everything, get on the road. So not able to be with me, but will be back with us on the next show. Just such a stereotypical game for this team. IU was favored by 15, but only winning by 9. Just how this non-conference has been. Just missed opportunities. This was not a good game, again, as far as the metrics go for IU. Where you're supposed to be favored and beat a team by 15. And you saw many moments where IU could have done that, could have stretched it out to a double-digit lead, gone beyond, put them away. Again, some of that credit obviously belongs to Winthrop, being very physical, try to play fast, and stuck to their game plan, going at mismatches that IU put in front of them. They really attacked Luke Goody at points in some mismatches, were able to get past IU where IU's defense wasn't lacking. So a lot of it is credit to Winthrop and what they did. It's not all the fault of mistakes that IU did, but just continues to be what this team's lack of identity is. The true only identity, I guess I could say, for this team, if you had to say what's their identity, and I would say they're a roller coaster of a team. It's the ups and downs on one play, off another. There are moments where things just click and it looks good, both on offense and on defense. And at times that's where you or I even struggle to analyze this team, because we have great moments that we can talk about in this game, but then there's also those moments off. And it's that inconsistency is what continues to be the red herring on this team. There's times where they can hit shots and go do great things, and we want them to take more threes. And then they have games like this where they take more threes and they go 1 for 20. It's just so frustrating to try to analyze and pick apart a team that is one so different on a game-to-game basis. And if you want to pick one stat or one situation within the game to look at in a negative way, there was at least maybe one or two where they at least were a little bit better on it. So it truly, when it gets down to it, it's that lack of identity and the lack of consistency that this team has that just, that causes me to do that, causes me to be in a lack for words and a miss for words. And it's, as we have said throughout this year, it's not because of a lack of talent. The talent is there. It looks like this team just looks like an AAU team. There's good players on it that haven't practiced enough to build that connection. I mean, sure, there are moments where they make great plays, but as a whole, they aren't connected on every possession. It just isn't there. And I think there's games like this where Langdon Hatton comes in as just a fundamentally sound player and does the right hustle things and stays engaged throughout the game when he's in there, that shows the glaring lack of connection and just attention to detail by a lot of the players that are in there. On the defensive side of the ball, this team is just reacting instead of being ready. They're kind of taking possessions off on defense. Well, my guy doesn't have the ball, so I don't need to be as engaged. I can, and then that causes them to have to react rather than being there and being ready with their guy. Puts them on off rotation, and guys are struggling to try to get back to what they need to do. And then you have moments, again, this is how it can go back and forth with analyzing this team. Then you have moments in the game in the second half where I thought IU played good defense when they were going against Winthrop's best player, their center, where he was trying to, they were going down to him, and Hatton was doing his best with him. He was in foul trouble, so he couldn't fully stay engaged with him the way he should be. And so that caused IU to bring in a player and do a lot of double teams. Winthrop was good passing out of that, and then IU did some great job rotating out of those double teams, because a guy would be out of rotation and moving around, and then the guy that doubled would then swoop back around to the other side and find back to his man. So there were moments where that was good, but then there were moments where it wasn't, and they got lost. So that's the frustrating fact of this team, and that's the frustration that I deal with, and why I go through so many cups of coffee while doing this show in the morning and analyzing it when I get up. But I will at least maybe skip next to obviously the main story in this game and the positive take away from it, and that again was Langdon Hatton. Is great to see when a player gets his number called. He got the nod because of Ballo did not play. For whatever reason that might be, I'm not going to be one on this show to speculate to rumors of why that is. Listed as a lower leg injury. Other things are being said on Twitter and all that, whatever. Coaches' comments afterwards, all that's out there. You can go find that. I'm not going to dip into any of that stuff. But his number was called and he stepped up. He was ready to go. Who knows how long ahead he knew that he was going to get the run like he did, but he was ready to go in there. And we've seen that this year in small moments where he's gone in, where he puts that hustle out there and he is ready to do fundamentally what he can do, what his skill set and what his limitations may be. He does not let those hold him down. He stays engaged. And I thought he had a fantastic game, scoring 7 points, going 1 for 3 from the free throw, getting 11 rebounds, very close to that double-double with those 7 points. I really wished he would have gotten to that. One beautiful assist in this game where he had that ball that he received at about the free throw line, turned to face the basket, saw the player recover or pull off of Tucker, and Tucker dove to the basket, bounced pass to him, and up with a beautiful basket. That was his one assist in the game. Thought he maybe had more, but that was his one assist, a beautiful play there. 3 blocks. Again, I thought those blocks were great. He was staying vertical. A couple of those were when he just kind of stayed vertical, stayed engaged, didn't let the Winthrop guy who was trying to draw fouls. They are a physical, fast team that want to get into the chest of their defender and try to draw those contacts, getting downhill to the basket. And I thought he did a great job with that, getting 3 blocks, 1 steal off of those types of plays, and all in 26 minutes. Obviously, the most minutes we've seen. It's really just the little things that he did when he was in there. Again, staying engaged on every possession, whether he was the focus or not. He was there being strong fundamentally and just great to see. And honestly, don't know if we'll see a run from him again like this, but good to know that that's there. Good to know that that fall off won't be there when you go that deep on our bigs on the bench, that you have a guy that's going to at least give that kind of effort and that engagement. So fantastic to see, and was one of obviously the biggest bright spots in this game. Another player that I thought kind of got back to a little bit closer to his old self, at least on the offensive side, was Miles. Really, you get kind of 2 different types of games from him that we've seen. You get a game where he tries to be more of the distributor and isn't looking for his own points, or you get a game like this one where he is IU's, I think, 2nd leading scorer. Let me look that up real quick. Actually, leading scorer at 18 points, 7 for 13 on the field goal on his shots, 0 for 3 from 3. Obviously, you want to see him hit one of those down. Was perfect from the line on 4 for 4, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Obviously, his assist numbers a little bit lower because he went and got his own in this game. 3 turnovers, so balanced there. 33 minutes, and the highest plus minus on this team at plus 10. Just thought he was being aggressive. He was having more of one of those games where he looks to get downhill a lot more, and I think he needs to. That needs to be every game for him. I was tracking how often he drove it to the rim in this game, and got roughly around 10 times that he was dribble driving to the basket, and only missed on one of those. Draws contact on a good amount of those. Got called foul once. That was actually he missed twice. One of those was on a foul. One he just missed. It was a kind of a little bit more of a circus shot to the basket that he tried to take. But that is what we need from him. Now, the glaring side, the negative, I will say, with Miles in this one, and that's kind of everyone on this team in this game, was the lack of on-ball defense. The opponents this year have been able to get past a lot of Indiana's defense, and there's been a few guys on this team that at least have had the better side of that on-ball defense and haven't let their guys get past them. And it's usually been Miles and Carlisle and Trey Galloway. And even those 3 kind of struggled with it in this game. So that wasn't great to see. The on-ball defense, you even saw IU go to a little bit of a zone at some point to try to stop that. And I think that may have to be something that IU looks at practicing a lot more, that zone defense, because if we have games like this again, they need to go to that more often to stop guys from getting downhill. Granted, part of that could be because Ballo was out, and the lack of on-ball defense and stopping the drive does lean and has leaned in the past, both with having Ware and all the way back to TJD, was the fact that we had a shot blocker down there that was going to clean up for the lack of drive defense from IU. And with Ballo being out, there you have it. Malik is not going to be that threat, and Hatton is not that threat as well. So that's where that was lacking. And so IU had to go to more of a zone in a couple possessions and was relatively successful in that. But again, defense just continues to be the frustrating part. And I think it's partially scheme, and I think it's equal parts as well, just players taking those possessions off and not staying engaged with it, not helping each other, is kind of where IU needs to clean that up. And we'll see how they do, and if they can figure that out as we get into the conference portion of our schedule. I think Tucker had some great moments in this game as well. His energy, showing his athleticism early in the game. When IU had just a 3-point lead, he had 2 possessions in a row that really helped IU get some momentum. In the moment, Winthrop had just gone on a 7-point run with but then Tucker came in, and immediately the 2 possessions that he got the ball, he had a double team that he was able to get a good basket, get a shot, get IU to see it in. The ball go in the basket after they'd been kind of dry for a while, and then off a rebound, that great run out alley oop on the fast break was really good to see as well. Tucker scored 9 points for IU on this game, on 4 for 8 from shooting, and 1 for 1 on his free throws. He did finish, and this is why it's such a weird stat again, on the plus minus side as a -2. Which is odd to see. I wouldn't have expected that, but thought he was engaged on the glass as well. You saw him crashing in there. He got 4 rebounds on this game, 1 assist, 1 turnover. So a relatively good game for him off the bench. 9 points from a bench player is a good contribution, is something you'd want to see. Defense, I think, was all right. Nothing really comes to mind when I think about what he did in this game and where he was. McKenzie, his counterpoint in the starting lineup, McKenzie had a better game defensively, I feel like, on that side of the ball. I'm always kind of looking to see how engaged he is when the ball is not in his player's hand, the one he's defending. And it looked a little bit better. He also did, though, rely on some of his athleticism to recover from situations where his guy did get past him or was screened off the ball and had to recover. Had 2 blocks on that end. The offensive side, however, is where it really lacked for him. He really was one of the players that struggled offensively on this team, and I think partially that was due to just IU playing a lot of these possessions where it was just who wants the ball and who wants to go get a basket for themselves. Just kind of single play, not really team play, not really great ball movement. But he finishes with 8 points on a pretty bad 4 for 13 shooting, 0 for 5 from 3, missed 1 free throw that he had to take. I think that was during a bonus situation that IU had, but just not a great offensive game for him, but did stay engaged at least on D more than usual. So I will at least give him credit for that. Malik got back into foul trouble, a little bit of old Malik that we've seen before, sat most of the first half, only 14 minutes in this game total. Again, that was... You say that Malik only played for 14 minutes and was in foul trouble, then you kind of think that without knowing the Ballo situation, that Ballo kind of stepped up for him and did some great things. But no, that wasn't the case. But while he was just in there for 14 minutes, those were at least some productive 14 minutes for him on offense. Scored 14 points. IU's second leading scorer, but tied just behind Anthony Leal for the least amount of minutes. So at least the most efficient Hoosier in this game, 5 for 7 from the field. Didn't take any of his threes like he likes to usually take, 4 for 8 from the free throw line, so a little bit lower than he's been. He's been a lot better on free throws in this game. 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover, and again, like those 4 fouls, like I said. Malik had... Yeah, like I said, Malik had an okay game. He went back to his old ways of getting little piddly dink fouls. Some of them were a little tough. Thought he might almost get a tech on one of those where he was pretty vocal with the ref afterwards. Luckily, it was on Indiana's side, and Woody was there to kind of take some of the brunt of that arguments with the ref on that call. But just... consistent Malik, same Malik, I think, did what he needed to do in this game in those small minutes that he was able to get. barring the foul troubles. Luke Goody, oh boy, not a good game for him. They really took advantage of the mismatch, took advantage of his lack of defense, his struggles to go east-west, and really took it to him on a lot of possessions, especially in the second half. Finished with 8 points on a very rough shooting day of 3 for 11, 1 for 9 from the field, or from 3-point, 1 for 1 on his free throws, 4 rebounds, no assists, no turnovers, 1 block, 28 minutes for him. Breaking into the starting lineup, he was the one that went in the place of Ballo being out, i.e. going with that one smaller lineup to start the game. Not a surprise that he cracks into the starting lineup with Woody going for the more veteran player. He tends to kind of lean that way in his starting lineup, so I'm not surprised by that. But just Goody struggled to make shots, and so many of them were wide open for him. That's the disappointing side of it. And I know in the telecast they kept kind of trying to explain it out or talk it out about him not getting it past in the shooter's pocket and then being able to go up for it. But on many of those, sure, it wasn't in his pocket, but a good shooter is going to be able to reset himself quickly and go up and make those shots. And hopefully this is just an enigma in a game and he can get back to making them. You want him to take that many as he is advertised as being the shot maker, the 3-point shooter for this team. So the open looks were there. He just didn't hit them down. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully a pattern is not made of that. And hopefully this is an anomaly. And this is definitely the time you want to do that because it's against a team in a game where that's not detrimental to IU's win or loss. Moving forward, it can be, and it could be a big issue, but we'll have to wait and see where that is. Anyone else on the play? I think Carlisle still trying to figure out himself. I don't know what's up with that kid. He's at least been a player that when he does get in there, he's been able to at least lock down a defense and find some momentum on that end, and then at least come on the offensive side and find a shot or two to find some rhythm. And it just wasn't there for him in this game. He was 0 for 2 from the field, took a 3, missed that one, and only finished with 14 minutes in this game. So I think it was just a game that he struggled to find his rhythm and find where he could be a contributor for this team. And we'll see how that is moving forward. He's probably, it's a disappointment. It's sad to see. You did see IU at least let him in there and have him be the main ball handler. I think that is what needs to happen on the second unit for him to kind of maybe get engaged, at least looking back to a lot of the highlights we've seen of him in past seasons. He's a lot better when he is the ball handler coming up with making the decisions, but frustrating to have that depth piece not to be there for this team. Looking at some of the stats in this game, IU finished with 6 steals on the game. That was good to see. 17 fast break points. I think IU needs to continue to push the tempo on that end and try to get out and get moving. They look a lot better when they can get those going. I will argue at least the one thing to those fast break points is once that happens, you see the 1 or 2 or 3 players going on that fast break. Everyone else is just disengaged and just hangs back. And you saw that at least in one possession where 2 guys went out on the break. The second one kind of disengaged or really wasn't doing anything. The person with the ball missed the layup, and the other player that went with him wasn't in position to make that basket, and no one else followed behind that. So, and this was actually at towards the end of the game. So then that allowed Winthrop to get the basket and be able to go back the other way. So don't like that disengagement like that stat, but don't like the disengagement by everyone else not to go down as well. Why is everyone taking the time off? We have a relatively deep team. Hustle out there, get tired, get out, rest it up, get back in. So no excuses there. Turnovers, a little bit better number, 8 turnovers in this game, 4 in each half. Wasn't really many forced turnovers. IU kind of committed a few mistake turnovers themselves, so that kind of would be the negative side of it. But at least the number as a whole is a lot better and something we want to see moving forward. Obviously, the biggest glaring thing in this game was IU's three-point shooting. 1 for 20, just taking too many of them that were wide open and missing them. So we can't see that. Obviously, that's a volume number that we want to see. And when you've got 3 players that are way up there, I forgot exactly how they rank. I don't have that in front of me right now, but I know they rank at least in top 100 or so, at least pretty high in the Big Ten with McKenzie, Galloway, and Goody from 3-point. And you have those 3 players go 1 for 9, 0 for 5, and 0 for 2. So out of your really good shooting, 3-point shooting players on this team, you go 1 for 16. That's not good. That shouldn't be. And that needs to get better. Those guys, we need to hit a lot more of those. I like the takes, but they need to hit a lot more of them. Free throws were lacking again showing where shot making just wasn't there for IU in this game. 16 for 24 for 66%. I already touched on it. The fast break points were good to see. Rebounds, great to see in this game. Again, I think that's tip of the hat to Hatton to stay engaged on that end as well with 46 rebounds, 32 defensive, 14 offensive rebounds for IU. So good things there. Could get deeper in other numbers, but this is kind of really what this is just, again, another missed opportunity to build some confidence, to blow out a team against the metrics, to do something that's going to help improve your net ranking, your Ken Palm ranking. And this did not do that. This was a mark in the other way. The non-conference is now over for IU. And I would, as any time when you get to the end of the non-conference, I would say to you, how do you feel? How do you feel now about this team? This is the point in the season where you should have most of the things cleaned up. You should have established a connection with your players and each other, because you've had those lower quality teams to try different lineups, to try different plays and figure out what your identity is, and what you are going to be as a team right before you get into conference play. You're not going to have everything figured out. You're not going to know everything about your team. You might have a glaring issue or two that will work its way out as you get through the winter and get into spring side of the conference, the back end of the conference. But that has not been the case for IU. That has not been the case for IU this year. That has not been the case for IU in past years. The non-conference is over. Conference play begins. And I don't feel pretty good. I don't like where IU sits. It's a tough seat to sit in. It's a tough place to be, and not where you want to be going into what looks to be a pretty middle way Big Ten. There's some up and down teams and some wins there to be made. If IU can get things together and get clicking, you can make enough noise and get yourself on a better trajectory for postseason games. But they haven't given me at least enough to feel confident about and feel like this team is going to go into each game in this conference and do X to you. Yes, this team that IU is going to go, yes, we're going to go in and say, play Purdue up at Purdue. And that's always a tough situation to be in. But IU has this thing that they can do, that they can fall on, that we can, at least if we get this right, we will be in the game. I don't know what this is to say right now on this team. Yeah, where are you? Comment below. If you're watching this, go on X, let me know. Tweet to me in the comments right now. What is it? What gives you, where's your roses right now? Where is your rose with this team and confidence in what can happen with this team? Because that confidence is waning for me. I know I've went on my rants before about hope on this team. And again, I'm going to continue to be that, and I'm not going to rehash that conversation that I've had. That was for later. I'm always going to be hopeful going into games that IU is going to show up and we're going to do well, and we're going to have a chance to win and turn things around. I will always have that. But the confidence isn't there in this team or one player that's going to be able to step up and say no to this team and what they want to do. There are players that you feel want to be that, but then their play and their consistency on their own game isn't there. So I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for this team. The conference games will start up again on Thursday. IU plays Rutgers at 8:30 p.m. It's, I believe, on Peacock. This is where you got to go back and get that Peacock membership for a little bit. Not as frustrated about those Peacock games as we have been in the past, where a lot of those key matchups for IU have been on the streaming services. Like when we had the Purdue game was on Peacock, which was weird. But I could see a lot of Hoosiers taking these Peacock games off, and I can't blame you. I can't discourage you from that. I understand it continues to be maddening for this team that has this talent, just to not be able to find that. Without being behind the scenes, is that the team themselves? Is that the players themselves not having the motivation? Is that the leadership, the coaching staff not getting them engaged, not putting them in situations to be engaged? Are the assistant coaches doing what they can to try to push these guys? And it's the leadership up top. Is it Woody? I don't know. I'm not behind the scenes. I can't do that. I can only speculate, like a lot of us do, and a lot of speculation and discourse that happens on X is what we get from that. So we'll see. We'll see what this team can do moving forward. We'll see what they'll be moving forward. I can sit and belay that as much as possible, but I think all that is said needs to be said about this game, and we can move on to the next one. Like I said, look for that game on Peacock. It's the 8:30 p.m. Eastern game against Rutgers, a winnable game, a game that IU should be able to get up against. It's going to be similar to Winthrop in the sense that very guard heavy on this Rutgers team, and they're going to look to get downhill and get their very talented guards engaged a lot in this game. So thank you for being with me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being there live, commenting. I see you, the two Johns in the chat with me. Hey guys, thanks for being with us. Martha will be back with us on the next game. Follow me on Twitter at General Chadwick. There you can find out more information about the show, when we're going to go live. Until then, go out there, have yourselves a wonderful day, and let's go Hoosiers.